Every gardener dreams of soil so rich that it never runs out of life. A soil that feeds itself, gets better with time, and doesn't depend on expensive fertilizers or backbreaking inputs. The truth is, such soils already exist, and some have been fertile for over 1,000 years. These aren't miracles. They're the result of practices that ancient farmers perfected long before chemical agriculture. Today, these methods are making a comeback because they build soil that lasts, costs nothing, and works with nature instead of against it. Ancient farmers knew how to make soil last forever. Centuries ago in the Amazon, indigenous farmers created what we now call Terra preta, or dark earth. These patches remain fertile even today, holding nutrients and supporting crops without added fertilizer. What made them different was a combination of organic matter, waste recycling, and charcoal, practices that locked fertility into the soil for centuries. While you may not be farming in the Amazon, the principles apply to every backyard garden. By recycling carbon, feeding microbes, and giving soil a permanent structure, you can transform poor ground into a living engine that keeps producing for generations. Biochar is the backbone of soil that never dies. One of the greatest discoveries in soil science is the role of biochar. So, biochar is, well, simply charcoal made from organic materials like branches, husks, or corn stalks that are burned slowly in low oxygen. Unlike raw organic matter that, tends to rot away in just a few seasons, biochar is stable for centuries. It acts like a sponge, holding nutrients and water for plant roots, while giving microbes a permanent home to colonize. To apply it properly, biochar must be charged first, otherwise it will rob nitrogen from the soil. A simple way is to soak fresh biochar in urine, compost tea, or diluted manure for, say, 2 to 3 weeks. After charging, mix about 1 part biochar to 10 parts soil in your beds. This is a one-time investment of effort, and once it's in the ground, it doesn't disappear. Kitchen and farm waste recycling builds permanent fertility. Every piece of organic matter that leaves a kitchen or garden carries nutrients that plants took from the soil. When those scraps go into the trash, fertility is lost. But when they are returned, through composting, trench burying, or fermentation, the cycle is complete. It's like giving back to the earth, ensuring the cycle of nutrients keeps going. So, for example, digging a trench about 1 foot deep, layering kitchen scraps with soil, and then covering it up creates this slow-release fertility bank. In heavy soils, this practice helps loosen compaction, while in sandy soils, it adds much-needed humus. Doing this in rows, year after year, gradually transforms the ground into a dark, crumbly loam that needs little else. The ratios can be quite simple. 1 shovel of scraps, 1 shovel of soil, and just keep repeating until the trench is full. Farmers once treated waste as gold, and for soil longevity, that mindset is essential. Plant roots and cover crops weave the soil into a living fabric. Another key to soil that lasts is, never leaving it bare. It's amazing how this simple practice can make such a big difference. Bare soil loses carbon, dries out, and erodes. Cover crops like clover, rye, vetch, or even weeds cut and dropped in place keep roots alive in the ground. Those roots feed sugars to microbes and fungi, while the tops add biomass when cut down. Over time, the roots open channels deep into the subsoil, creating pathways for water and air. A simple seasonal rotation, such as planting buckwheat in summer or clover in fall, enriches the ground without costing a cent. When turned under or cut and mulched on the surface, these plants add organic matter that stabilizes soil carbon for decades. Animal and human waste management is a forgotten key to fertility. Before chemical fertilizers, manure and urine were the main nutrient sources for farms. Urine in particular is loaded with nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus in perfect balance for plant growth. Back in the day, farmers actually collected it, diluted it, and applied it directly to their fields. The ratio is simple, just 1 part urine to 10 parts water, poured around the base of crops. It not only replaces synthetic nitrogen, but also, feeds the soil microbes that make nutrients available for the long term. When you combine it with straw, leaves, or even cardboard, urine really accelerates decomposition into a stable humus that can last in soil for hundreds of years. Properly handled, this closes the nutrient cycle in a way that chemicals just never can. Fire, ash, and mineral balancing strengthen soil for centuries. Wood ash, when applied carefully, adds minerals like calcium, potassium, and magnesium that balance soil pH and fertility. The key is moderation, since too much can make soil alkaline. A handful per square foot, spread thinly and watered in, is enough to enrich the ground without imbalance. Ancient farmers often combined ash with charcoal and organic matter, locking minerals into forms that do not wash away easily. This approach creates a layered, resilient soil structure that holds nutrients for generations instead of a single season. Long-term fertility comes from stacking methods, not one trick. No single practice will give soil a 1,000-year life. The secret lies in combining them: biochar for permanence, organic waste for replenishment, cover crops for root feeding, and ash or urine for mineral cycling. Together, these build soil that deepens instead of depleting. In a garden, you can start by adding 1 charged bucket of biochar per bed, digging trenches for scraps as you cook, and sowing a cover crop in fall. Within a few seasons, the difference is really visible. Plants stand taller, the soil holds moisture, and fertility lasts longer between feedings. Each year builds on the last until your ground behaves like the dark earths that still feed people centuries after they were created. The methods may be old, but they're far from outdated. If you want a garden that feeds not only you but also the generations that follow, start treating your soil as a living bank of carbon, minerals, and microbes. Zero-cost practices like biochar, waste recycling, and cover crops are honestly more powerful than any chemical fertilizer because they don't wear out, they build up. This is how ancient soils became legends, and it's how your garden can too. If you found this guide valuable, go ahead and subscribe to Hydrohaven, and share it with gardeners who are ready to enrich their soil for the long run, without spending a cent.